Live. We are live, Will.
We live.
We live. I'm Brandon Perna here with Will Keys, emergency live broadcast podcast. That's Good Broncos broadcast podcast. I'm going to say that at the beginning of every episode now because Broncos have named Teddy Bridgewater as the starting quarterback for the season, and Will and I needed to react to this live. The timing was perfect because we were about to record our podcast anyway, so we switched to live here on YouTube. So if you're listening in the podcasts and you ever want to watch us, we are on YouTube. This episode brought to you by DraftKings Sportsbook, America's #1 sportsbook. Use code DNVR when you sign up at DraftKings to take advantage of their offers, and my coffee company, benchwarmerbrew.com, if you want to check out great, delicious, hot coffee. You can make it cold, too. I don't give a shit. All right, Will. I'm going to let you start.
Yeah.
Okay, so we had a competition. For anybody who didn't know, the Broncos were working with Teddy Bridgewater and Drew Lock. Every day was a little back and forth, and now we know Teddy's going to start the season. How do you feel, and what are your intellectual thoughts about it? Are they different?
Yeah. Well, I think they differ a little bit. My first intellectual thought on this is you mentioned DraftKings, and I would rush to the nearest sports book and bet the over on Royce Freeman receptions this season because I think he's going to break Michael Thomas's record. I think Royce Freeman's going to catch like 160 passes for 800 yards this year.
800 yards.
Yeah. Like we saw Saturday night against the Seahawks. Yeah, I mean, as far as feelings go, I think like most people, I'm disappointed.
Yeah.
Because we were all rooting for the upside. And I think it's a little dishonest to say that Teddy's Teddy and that's that, and he doesn't have any potential for growth, which I don't know that that's true. This is the best receiving core he's ever worked with by far, I think. So, you gotta be in wait and see mode, but in some sense, it feels like you bought a Ferrari just to go like 45 miles per hour in the slow lane. That's what this move kind of feels like. And that's you're not going to get in an accident, and your car's not going to flip over, and you're not going to get a ticket, but it makes for kind of a wasted experience in some sense. That's kind of how I feel about it.
I think that's fair. I mean, Teddy hasn't started a full season since did he start every game last year?
No, he had an MCL sprain, so he had PJ Walker in there for
a couple, right?
But a couple of games. Yeah.
He might have only missed one game last season. So
yeah.
15 touchdowns, 11 interceptions last year. That was the most touchdowns he's ever thrown in a season. When he was with the Saints in 2019, you're looking at 9 touchdowns and 2 picks in like 5 games.
Yeah. 5.5.
Yeah. So I think like his performance with the Saints is kind of like, if you're being an optimistic Broncos fan, that's what you're expecting from Teddy, and you're just extrapolating those numbers through an entire season. And the Saints offense, similar in that they're built for a lot of short, quick passes with Drew Brees, and that's kind of what Teddy does really well, and that's probably why he filled in for Drew Brees so well. But yeah, in yesterday's video, when we were trying to predict which quarterbacks would win the starting job on the That's Good Sports channel, I said if the Broncos named Teddy Bridgewater the starter, and you and I both love Teddy, it would make the non-drafting of Justin Fields look really, really stupid, because the logic behind not taking Fields, besides not being super hot, fuck it, switch just like Mac Jones, either one of those guys. You gotta because Mac Jones might be winning that job this week.
Yeah, very easily could.
Based on his perfect practice today, in addition to Cam being out completely. But the logic from George Payton was that they wanted to be fair to Drew Lock and give him a chance to prove that he's the guy. And then they don't give him a chance to prove he's the guy by naming Teddy the starter. Now, maybe Drew starts at some point this season, but in order for that to happen, Teddy has to either get hurt or he has to play really bad. And I just don't see Teddy Bridgewater ever playing like really, really bad unless he's injured, which is the excuse they have for when his play declined for the Panthers last season. So
yeah. I mean, you look at the numbers last year and they weren't particularly good. Okay. Yeah. By the way, those shirts are like 75% off now. I think.
No, now they're limited and rare. I'm going to double the price for your horse cocklock shirts.
Yeah, maybe they're vintage, I guess. Either way, probably not going to be manufacturing a lot more of those. Maybe in a different team's color pretty soon. That brings up a good point. Do you think it would be wiser just to trade Locke right now?
I mean, if you don't believe in him enough to start over Teddy Bridgewater and you could get something of great value, maybe.
Yeah.
I just don't know what they're thinking. Like, I guess, like, if you're trying to really think about this, maybe they think the best thing for Drew Lock is to not have the pressure of starting this season, to see if he can grow a little bit more at practice but like year 3, he needs to just go out there and fucking play quarterback. I mean, you saw him do some great things in the Vikings game. Obviously wasn't as great against Seattle, but to be fair to Drew, like his protection was pretty spotty and sometimes it takes a little bit to get in a rhythm, and sometimes young quarterbacks are going to play bad in a game and also play really good. You just got to give them a full game to bounce back from their lows. So I just don't know how this works out for Drew Lock as a Broncos quarterback ever again.
Yeah, I don't know that it does.
It's like he's gone, I feel like, at this point. Like, he's going to be on the team, but after this season, he's not coming back. And maybe, like, if I want to get crazy conspiracy here, the Broncos are going to put in Teddy because he is a solid quarterback, and they're going to showcase that this is a very good team for one Aaron Rodgers to become their quarterback in 2022.
Yeah, that would be.
That's what I have to believe, Will.
Taking the Ferrari and driving it at light speed.
Yes.
Yeah, I just can't. I'm mentally, I am retreating back to draft day 2021, and we believed for a period of time that our starting quarterback this season would be either Aaron Rodgers or Justin Fields.
Yeah.
I think if you polled us at that point in time, we would say 96% it's either someone named Fields or Rodgers. Yeah. And at this point, we are about 3 or 4 months removed from that. And our starting quarterback is Teddy Bridgewater, who has never thrown more than 15 touchdown passes in a season, which honestly makes him the perfect Broncos quarterback post 2014.
Yeah, so he is the perfect.
He fits like two gloves.
He fits like two gloves.
Exactly.
He is the perfect quarterback to continue the Broncos QB carousel graphic going for years to come.
It's funny how quickly I went to the carousel graphic, and I tweeted from the Benchwarmer account. I found the one with like Simeon and Lynch and Flacco and Brandon Allen and Driscoll, Locke, Rippin, and said, just do it now. Just Photoshop Bridgewater in there. I can't, like, I'm gonna get a gun and I'm gonna shoot my TV.
Like
The
Homer
first time,
Simpson changing the
yeah, the
channels.
first time I see that
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 graphic.
graphic, if Fox does that week
Fudge.
1, or
Fudge.
they
Fudge.
could do it against the Rams too, Saturday night, and I'm gonna lose my shit. I don't want that. That's I think that was priority, and it's a symbolic thing. It's a symbolic victory not to have to see the carousel at the
Yeah.
start of the season. But it's hard to blame broadcasters at this point because
Well,
we
yeah,
brought
they
it
don't
upon
make the
ourselves.
graphics. They just talk about what's on the screen, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think the someone there makes the graphics.
It's not Joe Buck.
No, it's not Joe Buck. I'm not blaming Joe Buck for this. I
I
don't think
think,
we deserve any Joe Buck games this year.
yeah, if you want to trigger a Broncos fan or piss them off, just show them the carousel graphic.
Yeah,
It
and not
cuts
even
deep.
like
It
not
cuts
even
real
with
deep.
photos, but like when ESPN does like the weird 3D animated actual carousel spinning
Yeah.
with the claymation quarterbacks. That's
Mhm.
the most triggering version.
And they're all like super buff for some reason. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, they're all jacked Tim Tebow's essentially.
All right, we've got a super chat coming in from Average Joe's 1234, $10. Thank you, Average Joe's. I love this because I hate Locke, and I think we've given a mediocre quarterback too many chances. I felt like another shifty team that holds on to a first or second rounder that didn't work out simply to stock our ego. Well, I think hating Drew Lock is a little harsh there. You can believe he'll never be a great quarterback. I think based on his athletic talent, there was definitely an upside to playing Drew Lock, and you just kind of you got to go through the bumps and bruises that come with the guy learning and see if he can start a full season because he's never done that either. You've got two QBs who have struggled to start full season, so maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe we're going to get a smorgasbord of QB play anyway. It also, to me, would suggest that Vic Fangio is worried about keeping his job. We know he's never won a game in September, so Broncos have a very easy schedule in September. Giants, Jets, and Jags, right? Something like that.
Yes. It might go Giants, Jags, Jets, but those are the first 3 games, definitely.
Yeah, Giants, Jags, Jets, and then they get the Ravens.
Ravens, Steelers.
So yeah, maybe yes, Teddy is he's the safe play. He's gonna get you some wins early. But like we've stated many times, why we didn't love the Teddy Bridgewater signing in the first place is bet on Drew Lock, and if you tank with him, then maybe you're in position to draft your next quarterback next year. Maybe the Broncos believe though that Teddy can be a franchise QB or their quarterback for the next 4 years, right? Like if he plays well this season, they're going to continue to bet on Teddy. George Payton coming over from the Vikings probably has more love and respect for Teddy than maybe some other GMs across the league. So there's a lot that's in play there.
I just don't see that happening though, right?
Yeah, no, I don't. I mean, he's gonna have to play great. Like
he's gonna have to have like a Ryan Tannehill level renaissance, and I just don't think he has I don't think he has the tools to put that kind of season together necessarily.
I'll say this: if Vic Fangio goes for it every 4th down in the game, then Teddy might be the best quarterback in the NFL next year. Because
I think it's possible.
He seems like the best quarterback at getting exactly 3 yards. He seems like the Broncos will be in 3rd and 1 or 2 90% of the time. And every now and then he'll find Jerry Jeudy wide open and Jeudy will crank off a 30 or 40-yard run. And maybe, okay, here's an upside to Teddy. Sure. There are explosive receivers. KJ Hamler has had a hell of a preseason. We believe, assuming Jerry Jeudy continues to catch the ball, that he's an explosive receiver. So if you got Noah Fant at tight end, also big play capability. Hopefully Cortland Sutton gets healthy soon, and you've got this jump ball beast of a receiver. But like getting quick passes to smaller, fast receivers could turn into a lot of big plays where Teddy doesn't have to push the ball downfield.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit less aggression, safer passes break off into big plays. That's me trying to be real freaking optimistic.
Yeah, I mean, you saw that. You saw that Saturday with the pass to Judy.
Yeah.
So you hit him
and
in
even
stride.
that pass was like 15, 20 yards downfield, right?
Right. So yeah, no, that's a good point, and I think I was going to bring that up eventually, which you're right. On the other hand of that, though, so that pass that Drew Lock threw, the 80-yard touchdown against the Vikings, where KJ Hamler just got to show that he's like, okay, this is the fastest player on the field. And when you have the fastest player on the field and a quarterback that can hit him 60 yards down the field, that changes the way a defense has to play, right?
Right.
It changes the way, they play coverage. It's the Tyreek Hill, Patrick Mahomes effect, where suddenly, the safeties have to play a little deeper and, guys are open underneath as a result. No one on an opposing defense is going to believe that Teddy Bridgewater can make that throw.
Right.
So in a way, you're a little bit wasting the speed of guys like KJ Hamler, and this offense loses a dimension for all the things that they gain in keeping on schedule and getting ahead of the sticks and all those cliches. They lose a certain explosive dimension.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. I think the Broncos also have to believe that the defense is going to be top 5, top 7 defense in the NFL.
Which I think is a fair assumption.
It is fair to assume that. And we all know like an NFL season is long. Those assumptions can change as soon as injuries start to happen. But good health willing, it seems like there's not a weakness on the defense. And we have said over and over that the only weakness that we really see on this team is figuring out quarterback. And if Teddy's in there, your quarterback position isn't necessarily a weakness. It's not a strength, but it is serviceable. You're going to Teddy's probably not going to lose you many games. And I think that's what they're betting on right now.
You don't feel like you're going to beat the Chiefs with it, though. I mean, maybe that's not fair to say because Teddy did
beat him once.
Come pretty close to beating the Chiefs last year. But Drew Lock also came pretty close. I mean, he threw a couple interceptions that probably would have changed the game. Who knows? It comes down to the defense on those kind of games too. But yeah, you feel like obviously the floor is raised, but the ceiling is lowered, and that's a disappointment for fans, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know about you, but like I'm looking at 2022 quarterbacks already.
Yeah. I'll say this, Broncos fans' expectations have just been a roller coaster all off season. But we
Justin Fields and Aaron Rodgers.
Oh yeah, we maybe thought Matty Stafford was an option. We thought Deshaun Watson was an option. By the way, it looks like he might actually be facing criminal charges now. So I don't see movement on that situation in Houston anytime soon.
Yeah.
We prayed Gardner Minshew would be an option. But if you're being honest in evaluating Gardner Minshew, he's closer to Teddy Bridgewater stylistically and talent-wise than Drew Lock.
Yeah.
What is your, I'm going to say 10 wins over under with Teddy Bridgewater?
I think under. I think like 9-8. I think it's 9-8.
Yeah. So why bet on that?
Speaking
of over
shooting for
under,
9-8. Yeah.
Yeah, speaking of over-unders, I would recommend checking out DraftKings Sportsbook because the NFL is back. And
It's
DraftKings
back.
Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, is giving all new players a can't-miss offer for Week 1. Bet just $1 on any NFL game the first week of the season and receive $200 in free bets instantly, no matter what. Take advantage of this limited time offer right now. Broncos, Will just said he would take the under if the Broncos win total is 10. I'll be optimistic and say I think it's going to be 10. So it's probably 10.5. So if it's 10.5, I would take the under on the Broncos as well, which is a great way to have a podcast episode, a topic for your podcast episode when a new quarterback is named for your team. But head to the DraftKings Sportsbook app now to check out all of their great promotions and daily odds boosts. Plus, you can make every game a big game with same game parlays. So it's fun to be in DraftKings while the game is going. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code DNVR to receive $200 in free bets when you place a $1 bet on any Week 1 game. That's promo code DNVR to get your free $200 in free bets instantly for a limited time. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Got to be 21 or older. Colorado only. New customers only. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700. Whew.
Yeah. I just want to throw some names out there really quickly.
Wow. Okay. So we know Teddy is the starter. We're trying to be sane about it. Any other Broncos news before we go back into talking about this QB conundrum?
Yeah, I think that is this the only news?
News?
I mean,
Your mic, I can't hear you now.
oh, sorry. Can you hear me now?
What the fuck just happened?
Let me unplug it.
Why? We have lost the audio for Will. Maybe it's an issue on my end.
Oh, it's muted.
I don't know.
There you go. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm. I'm going to see if I can find Will's audio. Bear with me as we work out some technical difficulties. Oh, I think I know what happened. Hold on, Will.
Okay.
Okay, we back. It was my fault.
Okay. I was saying really quick I thought you just like ignored me, but I realized now you couldn't hear me. So
yeah, I couldn't hear you. It's if you heard that crash, it was my hard drive fell on top of the volume thing, and it just muted the audio coming out of my computer. So thank you for everybody who said you could hear Will, but I couldn't, and it's only important if I can hear him. Anyway, what'd you say? Were you breaking news?
No.
No.
Yeah. I just want to throw some names out there for everyone.
Okay, just names?
Just names. They don't mean anything. They're just names that I randomly thought of.
Okay.
Spencer Rattler, Matt Corral, Malik Willis. I don't agree with these rankings. Phil Jerkovec, Sam Howell, and my favorite, Carson Strong out of Nevada.
Ooh.
Maybe we'll get Carson Strong out of this.
Wow. What was the Jerker guy name?
Phil Jerkovec out of Boston College.
Yeah. Going back to our live stream discussion, he would be great for the Shadow Jerkers.
He would. Yeah. No, he'd be awesome. He would. He's a big boy. 6'4", 225. That's a lot of jerk meat.
That's a girthy jerker.
That's a big jerk. So those names don't mean anything. I just wanted to put it out there.
Thanks. Yeah. I if you don't know, those are potential quarterbacks in next year's draft. They have Spencer Rattler ranked number 1. I'm assuming he will not be ranked that by the end of next season.
You don't think so?
No. I think he's good, but
Are you
I don't think we
anti-Rattler? I feel like I started out anti-Rattler and now I'm pro-Rattler, and now you're down on
No,
Rattler.
I think he's got a lot of talent, but it's just been a mixed bag of performance and a weird college season last year. But I mean, we'll see how Zach Wilson looks once the season starts. I wasn't optimistic about him, but he seems to look like he's figuring
He's
shit out.
bizarrely looking like the best rookie quarterback out
Yeah.
there.
The kicker was Teddy playing good with both the ones and the twos. Drew was very with the twos. Last season's injuries made Vic very paranoid. Super chat from Scarefro1. Yeah, I think
That's
that's
a good
fair.
point. Yeah, that's a good point.
That's why you call him Steady Teddy. You know what I mean?
But you win the starting job. That's the thing, is you're not playing with the twos, are you? So that's kind of the weird, like the inherent difficulty with a quarterback competition is you can't play them both at the same time with the number one team, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you could, but you're losing reps ultimately. But it doesn't make sense logically to base your evaluation off of how they perform with backups.
Yeah. It's like what you're looking for is what kind of decisions your quarterback makes, regardless of the talent they're going against.
Yeah.
And if you watched both games, the thing that stood out to me in the second game with Teddy Bridgewater is that he makes his decisions about where to throw the football much more quickly than Drew Lock. You
Sure.
expect that with the guy who's been in the league as long as Teddy, and you expect that with Drew Lock, who's struggled to, read the whole field quickly. He's got the arm that can get the ball anywhere, and we've seen him make great plays, and he's avoided sacks very well for somebody who you would say holds onto the ball a little bit too long.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is, I think about like Russell Wilson. Okay. So the Seahawks signed Matt Flynn, right? Paid him a bunch of money. They drafted Russell Wilson in the middle of the draft. They didn't expect Russell Wilson to start, but Russell Wilson blew them away in training camp in the preseason. They named him the starter and moved forward. Drew Lock, heading into his third season, if he is going to be the guy, should have done that this preseason and in training camp. Like,
yeah,
as much as you want to maybe blame Vic Fangio for taking the safe route with Teddy Bridgewater, and like, we're not watching practice every day. We get to see the preseason games. We get to hear what other people think about the practices, but Drew Lock should have went out there and fucking made this a no-brainer to start him as well. So like, if you want to put, like, you got to put some of it on Lock, right? Like, if you're a good quarterback, it's going to show through. And I think we're seeing that across the league right now, where Mac Jones looks really good on a good Patriots team. Okay. We all think if the Patriots started him, their season would be pretty good because he's on a good team. We think Drew Lock is on a good team. So you should have seen enough from him to roll with him at that position.
Is he with good players or is he on a good team?
Mac Jones?
Drew Lock.
Oh, Drew Lock. Is he with? Oh, interesting. He is.
I don't know
good
that he's with a
players.
good team.
Yeah, I mean, we gotta. I like the offensive line. I like the weapons.
Yeah.
Don't necessarily love the offensive coordinator. I like the defense. I think the defense will be good if everybody's healthy.
Yeah, I mean, we might have to go through the super chats again, but someone pointed out that this is strike 2 for Vic Fangio.
Oh yeah, I popped that up there.
We'll see if we can get back on. I'll make a little comment on that.
No, it's gone, but I can read it. Nope, I can't even read it here.
Okay, but I'll kind of riff on it. This feels like strike 2.5 for Fangio. This feels like Fangio was sitting 0-2, and he's like choking up on the bat.
Bunts.
And he a little bit. I would not recommend bunting with 2 strikes. And he just like foul tipped it.
Yeah.
He just like tipped it back behind the catcher. it doesn't feel like he's like, it's 0-2. I'm swinging away. Who cares? It
Yeah.
feels like he's really just like trying to cling.
Yeah, he should swing. Like, he's old.
Just swing.
Like,
Yeah.
he waited till he was like 60 to get a head coaching job.
He had a kidney stone the first time he ever
He ever
coached this team.
coached. It can't
That's a
get any
sign.
harder
Just
than
go
that.
for it. Just go for it. Just go balls out. And look what caution has given to this team the last couple of years. Another point I wanted to make. Teddy Bridgewater was really, really bad in the fourth quarter, and especially the last 2 minutes of games last year. Vic Fangio is one of the worst coaches in terms of game and clock management. Do you think he's going to use Teddy Bridgewater as a scapegoat for late game failures this year?
Ooh,
Is that
no? I mean,
a conspiracy theory?
Yeah, I don't think Fangio uses scapegoats. I think he just blames everything and himself. It's like, yeah, I don't know. He doesn't seem like the guy who's looking for a scapegoat. I think maybe he's starting Teddy because he thinks Teddy can possibly manage the clock better for him at the end of a game.
Yeah, maybe. I mean,
manage the situations a little better.
Can't you just hire a coach for that at this point? Like, hire I play Madden. I could probably do a better job than Vic Fangio if that was my only job.
Yeah, just like,
say like, here's when you should call timeouts.
We punt here, we timeout here, we field goal here, we go for touchdown here.
Yeah, that feels like it's a lot. And I was thinking about it too. Is you have a head coach who's good at a few different things. Like, you want your head coach to be like your communicator, your PR guy. He's relaying messages to the media. He has a specialty on one side of the ball. Vic Fangio's a defensive guy. Third, they have a say in personnel. And then fourth, like, game day management. Like, why do we expect head coaches to have to do all of that? It feels like you're putting yourself in a bad spot trying to find a guy who's good at all those different things, because those are different kinds of skill sets.
Yeah.
So why not hire a game management coach?
Yeah, and just really hone in on finding the most promising offensive and defensive coordinators to run your team.
Not Pat Shurmur.
Not Pat Shurmur. He never led an offense to being like truly great. I think about like the Buffalo Bills right now and having Brian Dable and what he's done with Josh Allen, and then you saw one quick game with Trubisky, and Trubisky looked a lot better. I mean, and to be fair, Trubisky was playing like what we're complaining about with Teddy Bridgewater, in that he was doing a lot of quick, short, efficient passes. And I praise him for that. So maybe if the Broncos are winning, even if it's a little bit boring and ugly, we'll change our tune about Teddy. But you've got to sustain that. And to be fair to Teddy in Carolina, like, their defense was not good. Second or first youngest defense in the league. Like,
their defense was bad.
It was,
and they lost Christian McCaffrey.
And they didn't have Christian McCaffrey.
So that, it's fair.
90% of the carries or throws go to Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah, that's the offense, generally speaking, in Carolina. I want to also touch on something that the DNVR guys were talking about on their podcast. They did a really good podcast on, I think it was Monday. And they're talking about, if you hire a general manager like George Payton, doesn't it make sense to replace everyone at the same time, including the head coach? Because you've got a general manager with a 6-year contract. So he's got plenty of job security.
Yeah.
At the same time, you've got a head coach who is going to make decisions like starting Teddy Bridgewater because he knows this year it's like it's a winning record or I'm going to lose my job,
Right.
essentially. So you have general
Conflicting
managers,
interests.
you have conflicting interests. You don't have synergy, what they like to call synergy, on all levels of the organization. You don't even have a fucking owner. So that's a problem too. But you have, take the 49ers, for example. Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch come in the same year. They both get 6-year contracts. They're on timetables where they realize they don't have to push things in year one.
Right.
They can wait. They've got some security. They're looking at the long term. Eventually, it works out pretty well in year 3. They go to the Super Bowl, come pretty close to winning it. And they both agree, like, okay, we're going to move on from Jimmy Garoppolo. We're going to take a big swing, move up to number 3, draft Trey Lance. It feels like you said, there are no conflicting interests there. Do you think George Payton likes the decision to start Teddy Bridgewater? Do you think he had any say over that too?
I mean, yeah. I don't know if he had say, but I think he likes it because I think he's a huge reason Teddy Bridgewater is here. Based on the fact that he was in Minnesota when Bridgewater was there. So this guy, but you're right. Like, I don't know if this is coming from Fangio trying to save his job, or maybe this is coming from George Payton because he thinks this is the best way to go. The 6-year contract to me was I felt like a 5-year contract, but with this first year, the organization knowing it's in a transition year in ownership's probably going to change within the next year or be solidified. And also, there's a good chance that the coaching staff will be replaced after this season.
Yeah. 6 years kind of makes sense in that way because you have your 1 year with the hangers on, and then you get into your 5-year plan.
Yeah, because I felt like most GM deals were 5-year deals. But if you said the Lynch and Shanahan one was 6 to start, maybe that's standard. I don't know. But yeah, usually when a new GM comes in, you're getting a new head coach coming in. But I think and maybe they gave George Payton the freedom to make that call. And maybe George Payton is looking at it the same way we looked at last season, as disappointing as it was. There was just so much outside of the Broncos' control that it is hard to evaluate that season. You can be critical of Drew Lock's play. I think that's somewhat fair, but the injuries were stupid. It made, in terms of if you're evaluating a coach, it's I thought Vic Fangio and the coaching staff got the best out of that defense for as many injuries as they had. Offense is a different beast because you're trying to figure out your quarterback, and the offense could have been better, but I think it's just impossible to evaluate that. So I think from George Payton's perspective, he's like, I'm going to give them this year to prove that they can right this ship, because maybe he thinks, barring some of the flaws we've already mentioned about Fangio, that overall he's a pretty good coach. But he's definitely a good defensive coach. I think he just might be a guy who is always suited to be a defensive coordinator. And that's where his climb should have stopped. We see it a lot in the NFL. I'm
starting to think that might have been the case.
I want to live in a world where after this season, if they're going to make a coaching change, they just transition Vic Fangio to defensive coordinator and then bring in a new head coach and offensive coordinator. That way you keep consistency on one important side of the ball, and then you make the drastic sweeping change. And even Mike Munchak, you want to keep him. I think the offensive line has gotten better with it's not a terrible situation. It's just not where we would like it to be. And maybe Mike Munchak is the actual guy who should be head coach, because he interviewed for the job. I don't know if he has that skill, but it seems like you can be a good head coach and also still make sure the offensive line is good. Like those shared responsibilities, I think, are easier than being a head coach and still trying to be a defensive coordinator or offensive coordinator. But
yeah, we could be undervaluing Ed Donatel, the defensive
yeah,
coordinator.
maybe.
Yeah, maybe he's, if you get rid of Fangio, that's kind of like the that piece of consistency. Because if, say you want to hire a head coach, a young offensive minded head coach, like Brian Dable from Buffalo, or let's say Teddy Bridgewater's offensive coordinator from last year, Joe Brady. Like if the Panthers are good on offense, Joe Brady will be a head coach this time next year.
Interesting.
I don't think that he has like a ton of ties to say like, oh, if I get a head coaching job, here's who I want as my defensive coordinator. Here's who I want as my offensive coordinator. I need an offensive line coach that's not Mike Munchak. I think he's young enough to where you can say, all right, we want you to be the head coach. However, we need to keep these pieces for consistency, stability, whatever.
Yeah, there's pieces there. Do we go with Teddy Tripod as the official nickname over Teddy Two Gloves?
Teddy Tripod's pretty great.
Yeah.
Teddy
The
Tripod,
360
pretty
Nate.
awesome.
And I think this is a
Two
great
gloves,
super
3
chat.
legs.
Yeah. This is a great super chat, Nate, because this is how I feel. Like, I
Yeah.
don't love the decision to start Teddy, but I will support Teddy Tripod the whole way. Of course. I think that's like people like to get mad about these decisions and then they say they don't want to root for the team or something. But like, hey, if all of the Broncos coaches and experts thinks Teddy's the way to go, maybe some part of us should trust that. Vic's third strike will be if this defense is not top of the league. I am not okay with second best. I am so excited for Broncos football, though. Even if we suck, Thomas Wolde, I agree. We'll go for number one defense and nothing else.
Yeah. No, he's right.
Another super chat. Hero of Twilight. You said it recently, Brandon, and I agree. Why give Teddy the job? You know what he is and what he can do. Locke just has a better ceiling. I felt like you had to at least give Locke the month of September.
Yeah, yeah.
Like you don't say that publicly. You name him the starter, and if things are bad after like 4 games with him, and you want to save the season, then you make the move to Teddy. That would have been probably the way I do it.
The flow of things makes so much more sense if you start with Locke and move to Teddy, because Teddy has experience as a backup. He's shown that, he can come off the bench and play really well like he did in New Orleans.
Yeah.
So I think that method makes a ton of sense. I don't necessarily think going from Teddy, I don't know. I think if you start Teddy, he's not going to give you a ton of opportunities to say, this guy's playing badly enough to the point where we need to make a switch. You can definitely envision a worst case scenario where Drew Lock throws 4 interceptions against the Raiders and the coaching staff goes, okay, very obvious time to make a change. We've got a guy who's very experienced coming off the bench and is going to make this team better in Teddy Bridgewater. With Lock, yeah, it's hard. I think this will really, really shape his character as a football player, and it might ruin his confidence. It might give him a little more of a chip on his shoulder. Who knows? I just don't think we're going to figure out which one that is in Denver. I think it's going to be a different team.
He'll probably go to like the Raiders and be awesome or something stupid like that. Just kidding. That won't happen with John Gruden.
He could be like a kind of a, I don't want to say Tannehill because I don't think he's as good as Ryan Tannehill, but he could land in the right situation. Like, I don't know. What if the Bills decide that this is their project every year where they rehab a quarterback?
Oh, man.
And
trade him, get some.
Yeah. Like just, people flip houses, they flip quarterbacks.
Yeah.
There's a pick out of Trubisky and
quarterback rehab.
Lock the next year.
Local Buffalo produced reality show.
Yeah.
We got Coach Chris with a $10 super chat. Perna's hair has more talent than Teddy. He blows. I'll take the compliment about my hair. It is crazy, I know.
Thick, luxurious.
But saying Teddy blows, that's unfair to Teddy. Teddy Bridgewater is a bum, period. Not going to support that negativity. I've been the biggest supporter of Horsecock Lock, and I don't agree with the choice, but I'm a Broncos fan, and Teddy's our starter, so I will support him.
Hell yeah.
Echoing what we believe. Thank you guys for the super chats. We are going to wrap this podcast up. This breaking Teddy Bridgewater makes starter quarterback of the century here in Denver. I guess the last thing I wanted to say was there's got to be a part of the Broncos coaching staff that somehow thinks naming Teddy will be better for Drew Lock somehow. Like, does this show Drew Lock that he hasn't done enough to earn the job? Even though like the whole narrative's been like he's worked harder than ever this offseason to improve. I don't know. Like, I don't know what it says to Drew from the coaching staff. And you were just talking about that.
Could they? Here's another theory. I like that. I don't know if I believe it, but another theory is OnlyFans banned pornography last week.
Yeah.
And today they announced, after a lot of negative feedback, that they are reversing that decision. They're going to keep allowing porn on their website.
You think they're going to reverse this decision?
Yeah. The Broncos named Teddy Bridgewater starting quarterback. They realize this is bad for PR.
No.
They just pull a 180.
That'd be interesting. Will Vic be the Hugh Jackson of Denver? No, he's already won more games than he ever did.
Come on.
I'm having 2017 flashbacks. Thomas Maple super chat. Yes, we all are.
Maybe. Although, like, these two quarterbacks are better than our quarterbacks in 2017. Come on.
Yeah, I feel
Paxton
better.
Lynch and Drew Lock are just like different species.
Yeah, maybe Drew Lock has an injury they haven't disclosed. Maybe they're taking the Patriots approach to injury reports.
Interesting.
Anyway, thank you guys for listening to the podcast. Subscribe to the YouTube channel here. Make sure you follow Will on Twitter at Guillermo Yaves. And I will not be live streaming the game with Will this weekend. I'll be out of town. Good health for my baby pending, which we're trying to figure out right now. And
or Benchwarmer Brew at Benchwarmer Brew on Twitter.
At Benchwarmer Brew. Follow Will there. He's tweeting double duty.
Yeah.
Go Broncos. May this be the right decision.
Good night.